got a beautiful pick-up. Have a look at that for the big fella. Beautifully done, Chris Prime.
Through half forward, they can't find the body. Puts him under pressure.
Back got knocked out of the contest.
This one in. There's no trouble. It's a beautiful kick.
Yeah. So you obviously played at premierships at Port Neale?
Yes.
Because they had a bit of a golden period.
We did. My first 3 years of A grade, we went 3.5 years without winning a game though. But then when I was in my mid-20s, we hit a patch. A few players come in and we always had a basis of a team, and once we got to win, we didn't like not winning.
Once you learned how, you didn't stop.
Peter kicked his ton.
Yep. P Prime, 15 goals.
Yep, and unforgettable day for Peter.
Ah.
Yeah. I reckon that the year he kicked his first 100. I remember.
Right. 104 goals in 12 games.
Yeah. Yep. Well, there goes Prime cracks a ton.
Yeah, Peter was full forward. Kicked quite a few goals.
Yeah, no, Peter was very, very strong in front, very accurate, very strong through the legs, the hips, never get knocked over, always keep his feet. Pretty much all the Prime boys like that.
Yeah. You know, those boys just developed in a matter of 2 or 3 years into exceptional footballers actually. And
Peter Prime still.
Yeah, Pete was still buddy kicking goals. Pete was never a huge kick like Chris. You know, you get him 40 metres out in the biggest distance, but you know, you try and move him, and you know, Peter's a big man now, but back in his day, all the Prime boys got legs on like stone.
That's correct, right?
And so you know, they were bloody hard to move. And Pete at full forward, you know, you'd get on a one-on-one, and they'd try and move him, and he'd just bang.
He reminds me of Dunstall. Just solid, sturdy, accurate. Just,
Off the field, fairly quiet sort of a guy, but once they cross that white line, you know, if you're in between him and the ball, you're in a bit of trouble, really.
His brother was probably a little bit better player, and he's still coaching mini colts here, I think.
Kelly pushed the ball forward. Hamilton, a good defender last week and playing a pretty handy game today. Now it's McIntosh. What can he do? The champ goes wide. Prime. Prime's got it. Dirty out with the breeze.
What a beautiful kick from Macca.
Oh, we had a look, and Prime had led to the absolute perfect spot. It was useless going to the other side. Macca on the left foot, running with the advantage, and just looked away, and Prime put himself in the ideal spot.
3 goals, 2 and 1 out of bounds on the full. Make that 4. The big fellow pops it through. They advance now to 4 goals, 4-28. Trailing Glenelg 6-5-41. We're 17 minutes into the second term.
We've seen a lot of Chris Prime this year, and he has been excellent. Is he good enough to play AFL footy?
Well, I would say that no, not at this early stage. I don't think perhaps he would. He's strong enough, but I doubt that he's perhaps tall enough really to hold down a consistent position in AFL football. Beg your pardon?
There's been some of the talk that he's worthy of it.
Well, perhaps so, but then there's a lot of players in that category too. But no, not at this stage. I don't think he would be.
Love to see him have a go, Nipper.
So would I, but
when he played for us, Chris just regularly he's being sent off. I don't know why.
Ball is pretty tough. It's all a bit of show out there, but it's going to cost the Redlegs 50. Have a look at this. That'd be a nice conversation too. He's not reciting poetry, Neville.
But he got sick of it, so he moved here to Tumby Bay and won the male medal first year.
When he was in his 30s, I think, well into his 30s.
Yeah, I was just going to say that the crying shame about with Crispy is that, you know, as we lost players from up here, moved away, etc., and more and more got put on his shoulders as well, and then of course when that was happening, opposition was just belting him behind the ear and things like that. And I don't want to be derogatory against umpires or anything, but it wasn't looked after. So in the end, he'd snap and lose his bloody temper, and he could have done some bloody major damage. And
so at times it was self-inflicted. At times. There were a few umpires that I had obviously rubbed up the wrong way through time.
At least one that you hated and they hated.
Yeah, that was due to cricket though. Yeah, I think I gave him a send off at cricket, and Gabbo was keeping, and Pete Forrest was in first slip, and they were just cacking themselves, and then they thought, well, maybe we've gone a little bit far, but yeah, no. Vanby and I, there was no love lost there, and I used to win on the cricket field, and they used to just roll me up on the footy field. And I shouldn't say this, they were the days when umpire would give the all clear, they'd go to the thing, and they'd always run backwards. Great thing about being full forward, you kick your goal, you turn around, you clap your teammates. You do it right behind the umpire, they're going to go straight into you. So you can make contact with them without doing a thing. So some of it was very much self-inflicted, but yeah, there was a little bit of white line fever.
You remember that trip to, I think it was Kimber? You must have got a ride up with me and the old man, and on the way up, my dad, you say, "Now, Chris, you've just got to make sure you do the right thing today. You control your temper." Yep, no worries, no worries.
Don't
get reported. What happens gets reported. So there's an interesting trip home from Kimber.
Was that the flashing light in the boot one?
Yeah, I think it was the same day.
Rudell is the one that gets me, the Evans boys. Mick Evans grabbed hold of me right in front of our coach's box. He had my arms pinned, and his younger brother come up and punched me right in the nose. The umpire was standing, who was a policeman, standing about 10 metres away. And I looked at him, and he was just smiling. And the bloke who punched me when his brother let go took off through the rail.
Like, no shit, hit and run. Like it's a tractor. You hit a tractor, you're going to run. But yep, give Crispy a clip around the ears. Crispy turn around, fucking he's off over the field, gone. Run off the field, yeah.
So what happened? Let's see.
Around the back of the club rooms and come in by their coach's box.
Oh, I've never seen anything like that. He just, boom, jumped the rail and ran away. Chris started chasing him.
And the umpire 50 metres away sent you off because you were going to retaliate.
Yeah, I copped a little bit, but yeah, and I said to that umpire later, I said, well, if I'd punched him, you would have reported me. And he goes, yes. And I said, well, why didn't you report him? You're big enough to look after yourself. So, it went both ways. Like, yeah, I gave it out, but I was copping it with no protection. So. It was detrimental to my football and changing clubs. I was a little bit quieter when I got to Tumby, but yeah, it was just that a change was a free.
Took the load off because there was sort of you and me carrying and Andrew carrying don't want to sound like a big head, but we're carrying a fair bit of the weight of the team. There's a lot of young kids playing, and at the time, and then so you go to Tumby when suddenly it's coming lace out, and you don't have to work your guts off, and you're not copping it from everyone else. Because he did get a fair bit of attention from other teams because they knew, if we can fire him up and get him to do something silly, well, then it's going to be advantageous to us.
So my first year at Tumby, the assistant coach at Ramblers was from Cleve, and his tactic to his fullback was just punch him. Because that worked at Cleve. Problem was, when the ball's coming in 6 or 7 times, 10 times a quarter, you can punch me because I'm going to get the next one. And so it didn't work. It was a whole different attitude.
Yeah. When he got to Tumby, he had a very good centre line.
Oh, he had Curtis.
Yep. But Hunty was there as well, I think. He's pretty good too. And they'd just feed him. It's like a fucking big pelican there, just gulping him up. And he can kick straight. So he got it. That's it. Show over.
And you'll see all of the highlights in the football show coming up at 5:30. Here's Irvin from the far side, left half forward, good kick. Oh, what a strong mark that was, taken down there by Prime in the middle of 2 or 3 players, and he has taken a big grab.
I was involved in coaching Tumby with Richard Horgan from 2006 to 2009. Tumby had a really strong period then. It was when Chris Prime came to the club, and Michael Curtis come home from his a career at Sturt, and they were probably 2 of the better players I've ever seen play. I mean,
150 goals in his first year.
Oh, he was freakish. He was just a gun, Primey. And I mean, I remember when he came to the club and we were sitting there, Richard Horgan and myself, and Hog said to me, he said, I reckon if we can get 40 or 50 goals out of this guy, it's just going to be something the club hadn't had, and then he comes out and kicks 156 and wins the male medal, 14 in the grand final. But he was a star, Primey. I mean,
and will it make it? I suspect not. Hedge your bets until the last moment. Scott Burns gets it over the top to David Burns, his namesake, but a different spelling. Thumps it towards the goals, and typically it's offline. This is O'Leary, as Mark mentioned, has stayed in that forward pocket. Fleming over the top to Prime. Prime walks into an open goal, and a belated third for the big chunky full forward.
Big Pumper.
Get there 8.
Sorry, Stephen. Big Pumper, they call him out of the parade. And that's his 100th goal for Nord, and after a great debut year last year, a bit slower this year, be a bit disappointed in his form at the moment, and so with the Norwood Football Club at this stage. What do they call him? Big Pumper. Could you explain that? Well, I can't actually, Mark, because at training he wears big, I think it's a green Guernsey with Big Pumper written over it, so right. We'd have to ask someone out at the club. Yeah, I just wonder what that means.
I think the thing I loved about him too, just he was such a skillful player. I don't think people realised how skillful he was. I mean, big man obviously, but he certainly, it took Tumby a while to understand that you couldn't bomb the ball in, because I think by his own admission he's not a leaper or anything like that, but his ability, if he got in a one-on-one contest on the run, people couldn't get around him. And I remember a day he kicked 12 here against Ramblers, and it was, Tumby and Ramblers have got a pretty strong sort of rivalry, I guess, that's been built over a number of years, and he kicked 12 here on Tumby Oval, 12 out of 17, and had some good players standing to him. I mean, Simon Pedler was still a gun player then, and they threw everything at him, and it was just almost that little turning point, I think. That's where Tumby sort of thought, well, we're on here, and
Chris is probably the guy that, to me, is the country footballer and all the ones that I've seen that could have the biggest influence on the game. Yeah, you just turn the game on its head.
But he's a big bloke.
A very big bloke.
And he'd be twice, 3 times your size.
Gave it away, Russell. Davey, nice little piece of work. Cowan puts the foot on the accelerator but can't quite get past. Working back is McKinnon. This is Irvin around the body. It's a long kick, it's a high kick. Prime, beautiful use of the body, snaps at goals and he's got his third. Norwood get their sixth, they're 6-8. West Adelaide are 4-12 and we're inside half a minute into the last quarter.
Well, that was quite spectacular play by this big full forward. Have a look at this. Have a look how well he traps it. It was quite extraordinary. There's Irvin's kick. Look at this. Bang. Perfect bounce for him, but he just trapped it so well. And he was directly in front and banged it through. Third goal, and what a critical one.
I reckon last year he played here, they made him vice-captain, I reckon, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, he was a bit of a hit over there, I think.
I reckon the saddest day, I can still remember Chris Prime telling me he's going to Tumby Bay. He told me in the Port Neal pub I was crushed.
Again, I just find it a crying shame that he left up here under the cloud that he did, went down to Tumby Bay, but he absolutely has slaughtered it down.
1-on-1, he was unbeatable, really. Like you said, all that, you know, looking that way and one-handed stuff and mark over here and then such a beautiful kick. Anywhere, you know, 50 plus metres, you'd pretty much put it down for goal every time.
Great way.
Yeah.
Oh, come on!
That's Gav Masters, I think. That'd be Heinzie, I think.
That's Heinzie.
He handballs to...
Definitely Heinzie.
He handballs to Chris Prime.
A young Chris, isn't it?
16.
Definitely Chris. Yeah, that's definitely Chris.
Yeah. And yeah, the 3 primes, they're all goal kickers. Some people are great footballers, but they're not goal kickers. The primes, the whole 3 of them were goal kickers. They knew where they were and they're very accurate.
Andy Prime could actually play.
Great player. Awesome player. It's that lazy little left foot. Never missed. You'd never think he'd get to the ball, but he was just always in the right spot.
The A-grade votes had also been pre-counted, and best and fairest with 17 votes was Andrew Prime.
Yeah, he's a second son.
Younger brother Chris was named best utility player, and older brother Peter won the Dick Kuzner Memorial Goal Kicking Trophy for the 13th time. For the 13th time.
Yeah.
Best and fairest runner-up with 16 votes was Gavin Masters.
That's David's son.
Really, another Masters, another Wharminda man.
Yeah.
Most consistent was Butch Kitson. Best placed man was Mick Will. Most improved was John Masters, another son.
Yes, brother to Gavin.
And best team man was David Head. Geoff Prime then gave a brief football history of the club before he and Kath presented each team member with a premiership medallion.
That's
is what you want.
That's why we kept the books. Yeah. Our son played all through those games.
Yep.
What year's that? Oh, goodness me. They've got everything.
Opposing teams had headaches. To beat Tasmans relies on one factor: keep the ball in the road forward zone and away from the rampaging tractor. So is he fit and fast and trim, like a Hudson or a Lockett? No, I say, you won't find him run further than the pocket.